Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, verse number 224. We'll be continuing our reading from Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhete Girim Yat Kripa Tamam Vande Shri Gurum Din Tarinam Parmananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Nibrita Marun Mano Aksha Drida Yoga Yujo Ridiyan Monaya Upasate Yad Tad Arayo Api Yayuh Smaranat Striya Uragendra Bhoga Bhuja Danda Vishakta Dhiyo Vayam Api Te Samaha Samadrisho Angri Saroja Sudhaha. Great sages conquer the mind and senses by practicing the mystic yoga system and controlling the breath. Thus, engaging in mystic yoga, they see the supersoul within their hearts and ultimately enter into impersonal Brahman. But even the enemies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead attain that position simply by thinking of the Supreme Lord. However, the damsels of Raja, the gopis, being attracted by the beauty of Krishna, simply wanted to embrace him and his arms, which are like serpents. Thus the gopis ultimately tasted the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, we Upanishads can also taste the nectar of his lotus feet by following in the footsteps of the gopis. Purport: this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, verse 23, chapter 87, spoken by the Shrutis, the personified Vedas. Verse 225, Samadrishaha Shabde Kahe Se Bhave Anugati Samaha Shabde Kahe Shrutira Gopi Deha Prapti. The word Samadrishaha mentioned in the fourth line of the previous verse means following the mood of the gopis. The word Sama means the Shrutis' attainment of bodies like those of the gopis. Verse 226, Angri Padma Sudha Ya kahe Krishna Sangananda Vidhi Marge Napaye Vraje Krishna Chandra. The word Angri Padma Sudha means associating intimately with Krishna. One can attain such perfection only by spontaneous love of God. One cannot obtain Krishna in Golok Vrindavan by serving the Lord according to the regulative principles. Verse 227, Nayam Sukhapo Bhagwan Dehinam Gopika Sutaha Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yatha Bhakti Batam Iha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. Purport: this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.21 is spoken by Srila Shukadev Goswami. It appears within a passage in which he glorifies Mother Yashoda and other devotees of Krishna by describing how they can subjugate him with their love. Verse 228, Ataev Gopi Bhav Kari Angikar Ratre Dina Chinte Radha Krishnera Vihar. Therefore, one should accept the mood of the gopis in their service. In such a transcendental mood, one should always think of the pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. Verse 229, Siddha Dehe Chinti Kare Tahani Sevana Sakhi Bhave Paya Radha Krishnera Charana. After thinking of Radha and Krishna and their pastimes for a long time, and after getting completely free from material contamination, one is transferred to the spiritual world. There the devotee attains an opportunity to serve Radha and Krishna as one of the gopis. Purport: Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that the word Siddha Deha, perfected spiritual body, refers to the body beyond the material gross body composed of 5 elements and the subtle astral body composed of mind, intelligence and false ego. In other words, one attains a completely spiritual body fit to render service to the transcendental couple Radha and Krishna, sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. When one is situated in his spiritual body, which is beyond the gross and subtle material body, he is fit to serve Radha and Krishna. That body is called Siddha Deha. The living entity attains a particular type of gross body in accordance with his past activities and mental condition. In this life, the mental condition changes in different ways, and the same living entity gets another body in the next life according to his desires. The mind, intelligence, and false ego are always engaged in an attempt to dominate the material nature. According to that subtle astral body, one attains a gross body to enjoy the objects of one's desires. According to the activities of the present body, one prepares another subtle body, and according to that subtle body, one attains another gross body. This is the process of material existence. However, when one is spiritually situated and does not desire a gross or subtle body, he attains his original spiritual body as confirmed by the Bhagavad-Gita 4.9, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti, so Arjuna. One is elevated to the spiritual world by the spiritual body and is situated either in Golok, Vrindavan, or in another Vaikuntha planet. In the spiritual body, there are no longer material desires, and one is fully satisfied by rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Radha and Krishna. This is the platform of Bhakti Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. When the spiritual body, mind, and senses are completely purified, one can render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his consort. In the Vaikuntha, this consort is Lakshmi, and in Golok, Vrindavan, the consort is Srimati Radharani. In the spiritual body, free from material contamination, one can serve Radha and Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan. When one is spiritually situated, he no longer thinks of his personal sense gratification. The spiritual body is called the Siddha Deha, the body by which one can render transcendental service unto Radha and Krishna. The process is that of engaging the transcendental senses in loving devotional service. This verse specifically mentions Sakhi Bhave Paya Radha Krishnera Charan. Only transcendentally elevated persons in the mood of gopis can engage in the service of the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Verse 230, Gopi anugatya vina aishwarya jnane bhajileha nahi paye Rajendra Nandane. Unless one follows in the footsteps of the gopis, he cannot attain the service of the lotus feet of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. If one is overcome by knowledge of the Lord's opulence, he cannot attain the Lord's lotus feet, even though he is engaged in devotional service. Purport: one can worship Lakshmi Narayan by the process of Vidhimarg, worshipping the Lord with regulative principles according to the instructions of the Shastras and the spiritual master, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Radha Krishna, cannot be directly worshipped by this process. The dealings between Radha and Krishna and the gopis are devoid of the opulences of Lakshmi Narayan. The process of Vidhimarg, following the regulative principles, is utilized in the worship of Lakshmi Narayan, whereas the process of spontaneous service, following in the footsteps of the gopis, who are the denizens of the Vrindavan, is transcendently more advanced and is the process whereby Radha and Krishna are worshipped. One cannot attain this elevated position while worshipping the Lord in his opulence. Those attracted by the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna must follow in the footsteps of the gopis. Only then it is possible to enter into the Lord's service in Golok Vrindavan and directly associate with Radha and Krishna. Verse number 231, Tahade Drishtant Lakshmi Karila Bhajan Tathapi Na Paila Vraje Vrajendra Nandan. The unspoken example in this connection is the goddess of fortune who worshipped Lord Krishna in order to attain his pastimes in Vrindavan, but due to her opulent lifestyle, she could not attain the service of Krishna in Vrindavan. Verse 232. Nayam Shriyo Anga Unitanta Rateha Prasadah Swar Yoshitam Nalin Gandha Rucham Kuto Anya Rasotsave Asya Bhuja Danda Grita Kantha Labdha Shisham Ya Udgad Vraja Sundarinam. When Lord Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasalila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers, and what to speak of worldly women who may be very beautiful according to material estimation. But this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.47.60, verse 233. Eta shuni prabhu tanre kaila alingana dui jane galagali karena krandana. After hearing this, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu embraced Rāmānanda Rāya, and both of them, embracing shoulder to shoulder, began to cry. Verse 234. Emata prema veshe ratri gunaila pratah kale nija nija kare dunhe kela. The entire night was passed in this way in ecstatic love of Godhead. In the morning they both departed to tend to their respective duties. Verse 235. Viday samay prabhura charane dhariya Rāmānanda Rāya kahe vinati kariya. Before departing from Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, Rāmānanda Rāya fell to the ground and caught hold of Lord's lotus feet. He then spoke submissively as follows. Verse 236. More kripa karite tomar iha agamana dina dasha rahi shodha more dushta mana. Sri Rāmānanda Rāya said, you have come here just to show me your causeless mercy. Therefore stay here for at least 10 days and purify my polluted mind. Verse 237. Tuma vina anya nahi jiva udharite, tuma vina anya nahi Krishna premadite. But for you there is no one who can deliver all the living entities, for you alone can deliver love of Krishna. Verse 238. Prabhu kahe ailaina shuni tumar guna Krishna katha shuni shuddha karaite mana. The Lord replied, having heard about your good qualities, I have come to hear about Krishna from you and thus purify my mind. Verse 239. Yaiche shunilon taiche dekilon tomar mahima Radha Krishna premarasa gyanera tumi sima. Now that I have actually seen your glories and I heard about you is confirmed, as far as the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in a loving mood are concerned, you are the limit of knowledge. Purport. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu found Rāmānanda Rāya to be the best authority in transcendental knowledge of the loving affairs between Radha and Krishna. In this verse, the Lord actually states that Rāmānanda Rāya was the limit of this knowledge. Verse 240. Dasha dinera ka katha yavat ami jiva tavat tomar sang chadite nariba. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu continued to say, nothing of 10 days, as long as I live, I shall find it impossible to give up your company. Verse 241. Nilachale tumi ami thakiba ek sange sukhe gunaiba kala Krishna katha range. You and I shall remain together at Jagannath Puri. We shall pass our time together in joy, talking about Krishna and his pastimes. Verse 242. Eta bali dunhe nija nija kare gela sandhya kale rai punah asiya milila. In this way, they both departed to perform their respective duties. Thus, in the evening, Rāmānanda Rāya returned to see Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Verse 243. Aniyonai mili dunhe nibrite basiya prashnottara goshti kahe anandit hena. Thus they met time and time again, sitting in the secluded place and jubilantly discussing devotional service by the question and answer process. Verse 244. Prabhu puche Rāmānanda karena uttara eimata se ratre katha paraspara. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu asked the questions and Sri Rāmānanda Rāya gave the answers. In this way they were engaged in discussion throughout the night. Verse 245. Prabhu kahe kaun vidya vidya madhye sar, Rāya kahe Krishna bhakti vina vidya nahi ar. On one occasion the Lord inquired of all types of education, which is the most important. Purport Rāmānanda Rāya replied, no education is important other than the transcendental devotional service of Krishna. Text 245 to 257 are all questions and answers between Sri Rāmānanda Rāya and Caitanya Mahaprabhu. In these exchanges there is an attempt to show the difference between material and spiritual existence. Education in Krishna consciousness is always transcendental and is the best of all forms of education. Material education aims at increasing the activities of material sense gratification. Beyond material sense gratification is another negative form of knowledge called Brahma Vidya or impersonal transcendental knowledge. But beyond that Brahma Vidya or knowledge of the impersonal Brahman is the knowledge of devotional service to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This knowledge is higher, and higher still is devotional service to Lord Krishna, which is the topmost form of education. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 4.2.29.49, Tat karam hari tosham yat savidya tanmatir yaya. Work meant for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the best, and education that enhances one's Krishna consciousness is the best. Also according to Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23 and 24, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktish Chainava Lakshana Kriyeta Bhagavati Adaha Tan Manye Dittam Uttamam. This is a statement given by Prahlad Maharaj in answer to a question raised by his father. Prahlad Maharaj said, to hear or chant about Lord Vishnu, or to remember him, to serve his lotus feet, or to worship him, to offer prayers to him, to become his servant and his friend, to sacrifice everything for his service, all these are varieties of devotional service. One who is engaged in such activities is understood to be educated to the topmost perfection. Verse 246. Kirti gana madhye jivera kon bada kirti Krishna bhakta baliya yanhar hai khyati. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then asked Rāmānanda Rāya, out of all glorious activities, which is the most glorious? Rāmānanda Rāya replied, that person who is reputed to be a devotee of Lord Krishna enjoys the utmost fame and glory. The greatest reputation a living being can have is to be a devotee of Krishna and to act in Krishna consciousness. In the material world, everyone is trying to be famous by accumulating a large bank balance or material opulence. There is steady competition among karmis attempting to advance in a wealthy society. The whole world is turning in accordance with that competitive mood, but this kind of name and fame is temporary, for it lasts only as the temporary material body exists. One may become famous as a Brahma Jnani, an impersonalist scholar, or one may become a materially opulent person. In either case, such reputations are inferior to the reputation of Krishna's devotee. In the Garuda Purana it is said, Kalau Bhagavatam Nama Durlabham Naiva Labhyate Brahma Rudra Pado Krishtam Gurun Kathitam Mama. In this age of Kali, the fame of one who is known as a great devotee is very rare. However, such a position is superior to that of the great demigods like Brahma and Mahadev. This is the opinion of all spiritual masters. In the Itihasa Muchi Narad tells Pundarik Janmantar sahasreshu yasya syad buddhir idrishi daso aham vasudevasya sarval lokan samudhared. After many births, when a person realizes that he is the eternal servant of Vasudev, he can deliver all the worlds. In the Adi Puran, in a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, it is said, Bhaktanam anugachanti mukteha shrutibhi saha. The most exalted position of liberation is given by Vedic knowledge. Everyone follows in the footsteps of devotees. Similarly, in Brihan Naradiya Puran, it is further stated, Adyapi Chamuni Shrestha Brahmatya Api Devataha. Until now, even the great demigods like Krishna and Shiva did not know the influence of a devotee. A Guru Puran similarly states, Brahmanam Sasrebhyat Satra Yaji Vishishyate Satra Yaji Satra Yaji Sasrebhyah Sarvedanta Paragaha. Sarvedanta Vitkotya Vishnu Bhakto Vishishyate Vaishnavanam Sahasrebhya Ekanti Eko Vishishyate. It is said that out of thousands of Brahmans, one is qualified to perform sacrifices, and out of many thousands of such qualified Brahmans, expert in sacrificial offerings, one learned Brahman may have passed beyond all Vedic knowledge. He is considered the best among all these Brahmans, and yet out of thousands of such Brahmans who have surpassed Vedic knowledge, one person may be Vishnu Bhakta, and he is most famous. Out of many thousands of such Vaishnavas, one who is completely fixed in the service of Lord Krishna is the most famous. Indeed, a person who is completely devoted to the service of the Lord certainly returns home back to Godhead. There is also following statement in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.13.4, Shrutasya pumsam suchira shramasya nanav agyanas agyasa suribhir idito tat gunau shravanam mukunda padaravindam hridayeshu yesham. After much hard labor, a person highly learned in Vedic literature certainly becomes very famous. However, one who is always hearing and chanting the glories of the lotus feet of Mukunda within his heart is certainly superior. In the Narayan Vyuhas Tattva, it is said, Naham Brahmapi Bhushaya Sam Tvad Bhakti Rahito Hare Tvai Bhaktas Tu. Right, I've lost the verse where it is. We will read it again. I do not aspire to take birth as a Brahma. If that Brahma is not a devotee of the Lord, I shall be satisfied simply to take birth as an insect if I am given a chance to remain in the house of a devotee. There are many similar verses in Bhagavatam, especially 3.2538, 3.25.29, and so on. It was Lord Shiva who said, I do not know the truth about Krishna, but a devotee of Lord Krishna knows all the truth. Out of all the devotees of Lord Krishna, Prahlad is the greatest. Above Prahlad, the Pandavas are supposedly more advanced. Above Pandavas are the members of the Yadu dynasty who are even more advanced. In the Yadu dynasty, Uddhava is the furthest advanced, and above Uddhava are the damsels of Rajadham, the gopis themselves. In the Brihad Vaman Puran, Lord Brahma tells Bhrigu, Shashti Varsha Sahasrani Maya Taptam Tapahapura Dhatta Gopa Vrajam Strinam Padarenu Palabdhe. I underwent the meditation and austerities for 60,000 years just to understand the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis. I could not understand it. To say nothing of me, even Lord Shiva, Lord Shesha, and Goddess of Fortune Lakshmi could not understand it. In the Adi Puran, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself says, Na tatha me priyatamo Brahma Rudrascha Parthiva Na cha Lakshmi na chatma cha yatha gopi jano mama. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the goddess of fortune, and even my own self are not as dear to me as the gopis. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the topmost. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami are the most exalted servitors of Srimati Radharani and Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Those who adhere to their service are known as Rupanuga devotees. The Chaitanya Chandramrita 26 gives the following statement about Srila Rupa Goswami. Astam Vairagya Kotir Bhavatu Shama Dama Kshanti Maitri Adi Kotis Tatvanu Dhyana Kotir Bhavatu Bhavatu Va Vaishnavi Bhakti Koti Koti Amsho Api Asya Dasya Tad Api Guna यह स्वतः सिद्ध आस्ते श्रीमत् चैतन्य चंद्र प्रिय चरण नखा ज्योतिर आमोद भजम. The qualities of one engaged in the service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, such as reputation, austerities, penances, and knowledge, are not to be compared to the good qualities of others. Such is the perfection of a devotee always engaged in the service of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 247. Sampattira madhye जीवेरा कौन संपत्ति गणी राधा कृष्णे प्रेम यांड्रा से बड़ा धनी. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said of the many capitalists who possess great riches, who is the topmost? Rāmānanda replied, this is the purport. He who is richest is in love for Radha and Krishna as the greatest capitalist. Everyone in this material world is attempting to acquire riches to satisfy the senses. Actually, no one cares for anything other than acquiring material possessions and maintaining them. The wealthy are generally accepted as the most important personalities in this material world, but when we compare a material man of wealth to one wealthy in the devotional service to Radha and Krishna, the latter is found to be the greatest capitalist, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.39. Kim alabhyam bhagavati prasanne Shri Niketane तथापि तत्परा राजन नहीं वांछति किंचन. What is difficult for the devotees of Lord Krishna, who is the shelter of the goddess of fortune? Although such devotees cannot obtain anything, O king, they do not desire anything. What is difficult for the devotees of the Lord Krishna, who is shelter of the Lord goddess of fortune? Although such devotees cannot obtain anything, O king, they do not desire anything. Kim alabhyam bhagavati prasanne Shri Niketane tathapi tatpara rajan nahi vanchati kinchana. Verse 248. Dukha madhe kona dukha hai gurutara. Krishna Bhakta Viraha Vina Dukha Nahi Dekhi Para. Sri Mahaprabhu said, of all kinds of distress, which is the most topmost? Sri Rāmānanda said, Dukha Madhya Kona Dukha Hai Gurudara Krishna Bhakta Viraha Vina Dukha Nahi Dekhi Para. Mahaprabhu said, asked of all kinds of distress, what is the most painful? Rāmānanda replied, apart from preparation like devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable Mahaprabhu said, of all kinds of distress, which is the most painful one? Rāmānanda said, apart from the separation of the devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable pain. Purpose. Concerning this, the Lord states in the Vedic literatures, Mam anaradhya dukharatah kutumbastak manasah satsange nahito moryam. Similarly, a person who does not worship me, who is unduly attached to family and who does not stick to devotional service, must be considered a most unhappy person. Similarly, one who does not associate with Vaishnavas or who does not render service to his superior is also a most unhappy person. There is also a following statement in the Bhagavatamrita 1.5.54, Swajivanadikam Praryatham Shri Vishnu Jana Sangataha Vichedanakshanam Chatra. There is also a following statement in the Bhagavad-Gita 1.5.54, Swa Jivanadika Swajivanadikam Prarthyam Shri Vishnu Jana Sangata Vichedena Kshanam Chatra Nasushanam Abhamahe. Out of all kinds of desirable things experienced in the life of a living entity, association with the devotees of the Lord is greatest. When we are separated from a devotee even for a moment, we cannot enjoy happiness. Verse 249, Mukta Madhe Kaun Jiva Mukta Kari Mani Mani Prabhu Krishna Bharavayata. Okay, verse 249, Mukta Madhe Kaun Jiva Mukta Kari Mani Krishna Prema Yandra Se Mukta Shiromani. Chaitanya Mahāprabhu then inquired out of liberated persons who should be accepted as the greatest. Rāmānanda said, he who has love for Krishna has attained the topmost liberation. Okay, Mahāprabhu inquired out of all liberated person who should we accept the greatest. Rāmānanda said, he who has love for Krishna and has obtained the topmost liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5 also says, Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudullabha prasanatma. Okay, Rāmānanda said, he who has love for Krishna has obtained the topmost liberation. In SP 6.14.5 it is said, Mukundanam Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudullabha prashanta ma kotishva api mahamane. Of great sages, of the many millions of liberated persons and of the millions who have attained perfection, he who is devotee of Lord Narayan is very, very rare. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudullabha prashantatma utishva api mahamane. O great sage of the many millions of liberated persons and of the millions who have attained perfection, he who is devotee of Lord Narayan is very, very rare. Indeed, he is the most perfect and peaceful person. Verse 250 Gana Madhya Kona Gana Jivera Nishtharma Radha Krishna Prema Kevi. Rāmānanda Roy said that song describing the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna is superior to all the songs. Okay, we'll continue reading from verse 250 next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.